This podcast is rated E for everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nifty Ninty. I am your host, as always, Matt Tuna Turner, and this is the podcast where we run down everything Nintendo every week. I've got a really good show for you guys. It's packed full of all sorts of news, especially on the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate front. We got a new direct from the folks at Nintendo, but we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show. Why don't we run down this week's new releases? As always, we are going to start on the digital front with a couple little Ninty releases. We did get quite a few again this week, so Nintendo is still rolling. Up first, we got Loot Monkey Bling Palace, followed by Flipping Death, where you actually literally take over for Death. He went on a holiday. Actually looks really cool. Another one called In Between. Another called Slamland, followed by Super Blackjack Battle 2, The Card Warriors, which looks like a Blackjack spin-off of Street Fighter, but not Street Fighter branded, followed by Blobcat, and then Megaton Rainfall, which is a first-person superhero game, which sounds pretty cool, followed by Minute, and then Shut-Eye, I'm going to have trouble with this one, Subara City, The Amazing Shinsengumi, which is a dating sim for all you girls out there, followed up by Unexplored, Mini Metro, a sequel to Nightmares from the Deep, and finally Tetris Escape. That's all we have for the Nindy titles. Moving on to this week's packaged goods. Leading it is Dead Cells, which is a rogue-lite platforming game. It looks very fun, very fluid, very colorful. Very difficult as well. After that, speaking of colorful and fun, Okami HD is coming to the Switch. I actually picked this up and I'm dying to get into it. I loved it on the PS2. Didn't get to play so much of it on the Wii, although it kind of felt like it was built for the Wii. And this week's probably most notable release for a lot of people is the highly anticipated sequel to Overcooked 2. The team-based cooking sim that I believe now has online multiplayer and a whole host of new features, so I know a lot of you are probably looking forward to playing this one a lot. I hear that this game is really good at ruining friendships though, so maybe don't play it with your friends. Alright, that's it for this week's biggest releases and indie titles. Why don't we move on to some of the headlines that have been circling around this past week before getting into the big Smash Bros. Direct. Coming up first, for all you Pogo fans, myself included, apparently Pogo is going to be getting PvP before the end of 2018. The folks at Niantic said that it wasn't a matter of if, but when PvP will be coming. They're working very hard on this addition to the game, and it will be coming by the end of the year. Speaking of Pokemon news, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee will be getting Mega Evolutions. This is pretty cool because Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are released basically on Pokemon Red and Blue or Red and Green from the East, and those games did not include Mega Evolutions. Those didn't come in until Pokemon X and Y. But they've proved popular enough that they've decided to retcon them into Pokemon Let's Go. This next bit of news is for all you Hyrule historians out there. Breath of the Wild has officially been placed on the timeline. Sort of. The folks at Nintendo have decided to put Breath of the Wild at the very end, which we kind of knew it was. I mean, he's been sleeping for years. That's, the crux of the game, and Hyrule's fallen apart. But there are shenanigans involved. So as we know, there are 3 Zelda timelines. The timeline splits after Ocarina of Time. There's one timeline where Link loses to Ganondorf, and that takes us to A Link to the Past. And there are 2 timelines following if Link beats Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. The child timeline goes to Majora's Mask, and the adult to Wind Waker. So they've placed Breath of the Wild at the very end, and it's supposed to conclude these timelines. Nintendo has stated that Breath of the Wild doesn't just conclude one of these timelines, it actually concludes all 3. So, yeah, kind of placed on the timeline, not really. It kind of feels like a soft reboot, to be honest. I don't know if this is just a cop-out or what, but I guess we'll find out as things progress in the world of Hyrule. Next, a little bit of sad news. This comes from Ubisoft. Ubisoft's extreme snow sports game Steep will no longer be coming to the Switch, which is too bad. Would have been fun. So they've decided that they're going to focus their efforts on the game that is already live and on those current platforms so they can provide a better experience for those games. So if you're playing on PC, PS4, or Xbox One, then you guys are in luck. For us Switch gamers, not so much. It would have been really nice to fill that snowboarding void. I guess we're just going to have to wait for a re-release of Snowboard Kids. And finally, before the big Smash news, just a little piece from Square Enix. Apparently Octopath Traveler has sold over 1 million units. So those of you out there like me who went out and purchased the game, awesome. The developers behind Octopath Traveler sent out a very heartwarming tweet saying, 1 million travelers, 1 million thanks. We've surpassed 1 million in worldwide shipments and digital sales. We're grateful and it brings tears to our eyes. Thank you very, very much for all your support. And thank you for your continued support for Octopath Traveler. Alright, oh boy. Here comes the most exciting stuff for this week's episode. I know that when they announced that the Smash Direct was coming, it was good. It was good. Not only that, but they announced like 4 days or whatever before the actual Direct launched, or I guess was aired on YouTube and Nintendo's channels around the world. Anyways, for those of you that haven't seen it, the Smash Direct opens on a rainy night. We see some footsteps. Then we see Luigi, and we assume we're in Luigi's mansion. He shoots a plunger at a mummy, and that's when we realized that's not the case. And then all of a sudden actual death shows up and kills Luigi. Like kills him. Poof, gone by Luigi. His spirit goes flowing out of his body. Actually, funny enough, Nintendo had to tweet after the Direct that Luigi doesn't actually die. But anyways, I digress. We find out that it's actually Castlevania. Simon, Richter, and Dracula's Castle are all joining the incredible cast of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Simon is the main character, Richter his Echo, and Dracula's Castle the stage. Simon Belmont's moves include the cross, holy water, and of course his iconic whip. Of course, Richter's moves echo his, but with Richter's own special styling. And then while they're on the topic of new Echo Fighters, they announced 2 new Echo Fighters that are joining the cast. One is Dark Samus. I don't actually know which game Dark Samus is from. I don't know if this is made up for Smash or not. If you guys know, let me know in the comments below. And also Chrom from the Fire Emblem series, which is another Echo Fighter. After that, Sakurai went into a little bit of menu customization, which is kind of cool. He showed us some ways that we can make it easier to see the fighters. So with Smash Ultimate, you can actually stack the Echo fighters on top of the fighters they echo, or you can choose to have them separately, so you can actually show each individual fighter on the fighter select screen, or combine them with their Echo counterparts, which is pretty cool because with this many fighters, it's gonna get kind of packed in there. It's gonna a lot, especially on a handheld mode. Those icons are gonna be pretty small. Apparently, every stage from the previous games are coming back as well. We also got to see a new stage, New Donk City Hall, which is pretty sweet. Little Super Mario Odyssey, and you can probably guess what the soundtrack for that is. Any guesses? No? Comment something, I don't actually know the lyrics except for Jump Up Superstar. Woo! So that's going to be fun to play. Just some notes on the stages. The previous stages from Brawl and Melee, as well as the Wii U version and 3DS versions, have been kind of retooled and rebalanced for Smash Ultimate. However, the original N64 stages are back and in their original form. They're even kind of pixely, which is pretty cool. They felt that they wanted to really lean into the nostalgia for the N64 stages. And on the menu select screen for these stages, they are listed in the order they were released. We also got a total stage count. Can you guess what it is? It's high, like really high. No? Okay. The total stage count for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is 103, but you can choose to customize these into Battlefield and Omega forms, which technically pushes the total list up to over 300. but that's a little bit of a technicality. Another cool thing you can do with stages is you can actually select two stages, and during the course of the match, the stages will morph between the two, which just adds to like the complete and utter chaos that is Super Smash Bros. Actually, speaking of chaos, you can actually turn off the level hazards for, a little bit less craziness. And all stages are available from the beginning. You don't need to unlock them, so you can just step right in and start fighting. After that, they started talking about the absolutely massive collection of music that they have in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And it's a lot. There are actually around 900 tracks, and you actually can take them with you on the go. You can actually play them off your Switch while you're walking around town or on the bus. It's kind of like a Nintendo, or not even just Nintendo, but video game library of tunes that you can take with you on the go, which is pretty cool. It is quite an extensive list. It's actually, if you were to listen to every track back to back to back to back to back, is over 28 hours of music. 28 hours of music. That's over an entire day's worth of music. I don't even think the Switch battery will last that long. You might get through 6 hours of it before you have to actually plug in. Still, it's pretty cool. And you can actually customize which tracks play for each series and how often, and even create your own playlists. You could create like a gym playlist, a travel playlist, a pump-up mix, whatever you want to do. In terms of the gameplay, it's changed a little bit. You don't pick your fighter first. In fact, you select your rules first. And you can actually create your own custom rule sets that you can use as loadouts for future fights. Then you go into the stage select, then you select your fighter, because some fighters are not great on certain stages, which is pretty cool. There's also different ways to select fighters. They've got different battle modes, if you will. You could have the previous game's loser, for instance, select this game's stage and even the new fighters. Also, there's a cool new mode called Smashdown, and basically what it does is it locks out the previous fighters that were used in the previous game, so that you are constantly having to select new fighters. So in the previous game, if you used Mario, Marth, Link, and Samus, those ones would not be available for this game. You'd have to choose different fighters, like Roy or King Dede 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 or Donkey Kong or something like that. And tournament mode. Getting a tournament mode, custom tournament mode. You can select the number of players that are involved, the number of rounds, number of CPU players, all that stuff, and play through an entire tournament. It creates all the brackets for you. It's pretty sweet. It'll be great at parties. Smash Bros. Is turning into an awesome party game. Sorry, Mario Party. As the Nintendo Direct started to wind down, we got just I guess we'll call it a montage of new Pokemon items and assist trophies. A few of the more notable ones, especially for items, are the banana gun, which is pretty cool. It's a banana that shoots one powerful bullet, and then you can actually drop the peel and people slip on it. And then you can also use like Death's Sigh, which apparently is an insta-kill. I don't know how many times you get to swing it before it breaks, but from the trailer, there's 3 swings, and then they moved on to some other stuff. Apparently, the Alolan Pokemon are coming in. They got Alolan Executor, Executor, as well as the Alolan form of Vulpix. Also, the Sun and Moon legendaries are coming. Mimikyu, Abra, Ditto, just to name a few. As for assist trophies, there are a bunch, like a lot. The first one they showed off was Zero, also Knuckles. We got Crystal from Star Fox, and probably one of the most fun, Shovel Knight. Didn't expect that one. But the biggest assist trophy reveal came at the very end, and this one was a real surprise. Rathalos from the Monster Hunter series is coming as an assist trophy. And not just an assist trophy, but a boss. So obviously there is a boss battle mode somewhere in this game. We aren't entirely sure. They haven't really talked about it. But Rathalos is an assist trophy and also a boss in boss battles. I don't know how that works in. We're going to find out more, I guess, closer to launch, which is December. So then the Smash Direct ended, but not really. We heard what sounded like giant crushing, smashing, rumbling sound off in the distance, and the screen went black. And then it came back up, and it was Donkey Kong. And through a series of cutscenes, we learn that King K. Rool will be joining the fight. So King Karul was a new fighter that was announced today, along with the folks from Castlevania and the 2 new Echo fighters. So today we got, or not today, I guess, this week we got 5 new fighters joining Smash Ultimate. It is absolutely massive, the roster for this game. Absolutely massive. So that was basically the rundown of the Smash Direct. Why don't we get into a little deeper discussion, if you will. During the Direct, they showed the game menu, but there was a section of it that was blurred out. It was green, and you couldn't see what was written on it. They showed Smash and this cool new dock thing that you can bring up whenever you want. I guess kind of like a home menu screen type of thing. But this new menu, nobody knows what it is. They're obviously teasing something. People have gone on to think that perhaps it's something called a spirit mode. There is a savvy Photoshopper out there that wrote spirit mode and then blurred it and then placed it over the screenshot, and apparently it kind of lined up. I don't know, it's a rumor. Is believable though, because they've been teasing this spirit thing for a little while. If you remember, we saw like ghost forms of Mario, and then in this direct they kind of killed Luigi. I mean, not really killed him, but like kind of did. We see his spirit leave his body, so maybe spirit mode is actually accurate. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you think it actually would be a spirit mode? It's also possible that it's like single player, because the S and the P kind of line up. SP single player as opposed to spirit mode. I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell. Obviously, we'll find out eventually, but with the spirit or ghost theme that they've been going with, it's I think it's very plausible. It's a very, very plausible rumor that it is in fact spirit mode. Also, they've been teasing boss battles. So what are these? What are boss battles? Is this kind of like a classic mode, or like, spaceship emissary, and at the end of each section you fight a boss? I think that could be plausible. Not sure. Or is it like kind of a one-on-one fight mode without a story? We know Rathalos is a boss, but who else would be a boss? Apparently Rathalos is the only character to be both an assist trophy and a boss. What about Ridley? But Ridley is a playable character now. Could you play Ridley versus Ridley? That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun. I guess maybe boss battles would emulate kind of like the classic, I guess, battles that we've seen through games like Mario, Bowser, Samus, Ridley. Does that mean that one of the Monster Hunter characters is coming to Smash? Fingers crossed. Also, something I find kind of worrisome about Smash Ultimate is the unlockables. In previous versions, I had a lot of fun playing through challenges and various matches and stuff to unlock things like stages, music, assist trophies, all those sorts of things. I thought it was a lot of fun to do that, but with this one, all the music is available at the beginning. I think almost all the fighters are available at the beginning, and all the stages are available at the beginning. So like it's great for the ability to just kind of jump in and play, but I want to unlock all these things. I want to play through the game. It gives me incentive to do different things and try new modes and all those sorts of things. And I kind of feel like that maybe this is being lost in this game. I know it makes it easier, but I guess it's the collector in me. We still get to collect trophies, I hope. I used to spend like hours just combing through the trophies I collected for, what was that, Brawl? And just like learning about all the random stuff. What was that, Melee? Not important. But they had a trophy collection, and you could learn about all the backstory and the history of these franchises and games, and I thought that was so cool. I hope they bring that back. I really hope they bring that back. Maybe those will be unlockables in this, as opposed to unlocking new stages and characters, but I hope that they don't get rid of unlockables altogether. Are you guys really into unlockables? that sort of thing, or you just want to jump into the action and customize your own battles and create your own tournaments right away, you know what? I'll put a poll. I'll put a poll up on Twitter. You guys, let me know how you feel about that, or you can let me know in the comments below. And just before we end the Smash Bros. Ultimate coverage, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is getting a limited edition release, which is pretty sweet. The box is big and black and has a picture of all the fighters across the front. At least that's what it looks like now. Of course, that could change. Inside the box is obviously a copy of the game, but you also get the GameCube adapter and a GameCube controller, which is pretty sweet. I wonder what they're going to price it at. How many of you are going to pick this one up? I picked up the Wayfarer's edition of Octopath Traveler. Maybe I will get the collector's, or I guess limited edition of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as well. Although I'm not super needy for Smash Bros. Or for the GameCube controller. I think the Switch Pro controller works just fine. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed all that Smash coverage. Let's move on to questions. Again, none. So why don't you guys ask me some? Hey? Ask me some questions. Put them in the comments. Find me on Twitter, Patreon, webpage, whatever you want to do. Ask me some questions. Happy to answer them. So I will ask you guys a question I've been asking for the previous 2 weeks. I have the Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2, and I will play whatever game in that series you want me to play first. As I've mentioned before, I've only played Mega Man X and Mega Man X2, so if you want to see me play a new game, struggle with it, have fun with it, be challenged, whatever, you let me know, and I'll play that game first. I'll ask for just another week, and hopefully you guys will provide me with some feedback. So let's move on to this week's game review. Alright guys, for this week's game review we have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was a Nintendo Switch launch title, as well as one of the last titles to be released on the Wii U. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was both the launch title and swan song for two of Nintendo's consoles, much like Twilight Princess was a few generations prior. Unlike Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild deviates from the familiar formula and breathes new life into an already amazing franchise. The Legend of Zelda has always followed a pretty similar format, but when the designers deviate, we tend to get some of the most memorable experiences in the franchise. Breath of the Wild is no different. Gone are the temples and items you find inside them. That familiar formula was scrapped in favor of a giant open world. It's actually quite reminiscent of the original Legend of Zelda. There's very little instruction. You are left to your own devices. The closest thing to temples are the 4 guardian animals you can choose to go into, which I would recommend because they help with the endgame. Outside of that, Hyrule is dotted with tons of shrines, each offering various puzzles and rewarding you with precious spirit orbs. As a series first, Link can actually jump. Not only that, but he can climb. Climbing is quite rewarding. The world of Hyrule is beautiful, and watching the sunset over Calamity is really beautiful from atop dueling peaks. The game takes full advantage of the Switch hardware. Playing in handheld mode as well as docked is seamless. Link handles intuitively, whether you're a series veteran or a total noob. The game does a good job of introducing new things to you in inventive ways so you don't get confused. Of course, some series hallmarks are back, but the new additions make journeying around Hyrule fun and sometimes challenging. Breath of the Wild mixes a realistic-looking world with cartoon-esque characters to populate it. This may sound weird, but it actually works very well. This is by far the best-looking game in the franchise. There's a real feeling of desperation and isolation. Even the music only comes on sparingly. There are sections of the game where all you hear are Link's footsteps. Of course, the more frantic moments of the game has an amazing soundtrack that gets the heart pumping. Actually, music in Breath of the Wild is so good I found myself listening to it on YouTube. In Breath of the Wild, Hyrule has already been conquered. Calamity Ganon took over 100 years prior, and Zelda had been doing what she can to hold him in place while Link sleeps. Link finally awakes with a serious case of amnesia, and his journey begins. There is a main quest, and it will of course run to Ganon, but a lot of the beauty of this game comes from talking to the NPCs and opening up varied side quests. Link's various adventures have always been about rescuing Princess Zelda and Hyrule as a whole. Breath of the Wild isn't much different, but you can do it in any order you would like, all the while meeting a host of amazing characters. This is Link's most emotional outing yet. Every time you find a new memory, you fill in a little more of the story pre-Calamity. Most of those focus on Zelda and help to fill in her character, which is so much more than just a damsel in distress. So the final verdict on Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. For gameplay, I thought it was varied, fun, and there was a serious focus on exploration. I gave it a 10. The controls, they were tight, intuitive, easy to learn, and easy to master, so I gave it a 10. Presentation, definitely the best in the franchise, and the mix of realism and animation worked really well. So, I also gave it a 10. And finally, the story. It was emotional, funny, and compelling, so I gave it a 10. That brings the total for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild to a perfect 10. This is the first we've had on this show. I'm very pleased that it goes to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Well, that's it for another episode of Nifty Ninty. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a smash-packed episode. See what I did there? I hope you guys enjoyed the review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It actually is probably my favorite game of this generation of consoles, and I have to credit it a little bit with getting me back into gaming. I will say that if it weren't for Breath of the Wild, I would probably not be doing this today. As always, if you like what you see or hear, please do find me on Patreon. I would really appreciate your support. Also, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You can follow me on Twitter. I have all sorts of news and musings and polls on there if you'd like. My Twitter handle is at tunaent_official. That is the number 2, NAENT_official. Patreon is www.patreon.com/tunaentertainment. Also, you can follow along on iTunes. These podcasts are now officially on iTunes. So please head on there and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button below. Turn on notifications. And you can also check out the website for more information, www.tunaentertainment.com. And until next week, stay nifty. Hello? Is this thing on?